There we read, quote, "And Laban said, It must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. And Jacob did so, and fulfilled her week. And he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah his handmaid to be her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years." End quote. So if God had used the phrase, quote, "on the first day of the week," end quote, to designate which day the sheaf was to be waved, it would have been ambiguous in that it could have referred to either the first of the, quote, 7, end quote, of the regular week, or the first of the, quote, 7, end quote, of the feast of Passover / unleavened bread, which only occasionally are the same. Oh, how great and mighty is the wisdom displayed in these verses of Holy Scriptures! God has eliminated the possibility for error in determining the day of the wave sheaf by simply using the word, quote, "the," end quote, in connection with the word, quote, "Sabbath," end quote, to distinguish the day the, quote, "morrow," end quote, is intended to be after, as noted above. Yet there is today, and there was also in Christ's day, confusion and controversy concerning the correct day. The traditional Jewish teaching today, as then, follows the teachings of the Pharisees, which states that the 16th, the morrow after the first day of the feast of Passover / unleavened bread, is the correct date to offer the wave sheaf. Of the Pharisees, Jesus said, quote, "Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. For laying aside the commandment of God, ye hold the tradition of men. Full well ye reject the commandment of God, that ye may keep your own tradition." End quote. Mark 7, verses 7 through 9. Yet in spite of this, many people adhere to their tradition of using the 16th as the date for the offering of the wave sheaf, whether it be in a typical or an antitypical manner, and for beginning the counting of the days till Pentecost. In order to shed some light on the difference between using the 16th and the first day of the regular week, Sunday, we will now look at what transpired in that eventful Passover week during which Christ was crucified and was resurrected. The days of the Passion of Christ. To get a clear understanding of the events of that week and how they relate to the 16th / Sunday question, we need to know upon which actual day of the week the feast of Passover / Feast of Unleavened Bread commenced. The fact of which day it began itself is one of the most misunderstood and misrepresented facts in Christian theology, though few are aware of it. As the subject of this particular study is the how and the why to reckon the days of the feast, and as we do not wish to introduce any unnecessary lengthy explanations which will distract from said purpose, we will simply present our view of the matter with a few of the supporting texts and ask the reader to go to our other studies to see the more in-depth explanations of our point of view. Tract 10, The Sign of Jonah, 3 Days and 3 Nights in the Heart of the Earth, Symbolic Code Volume 1, Number 6, pages 5 through 7, Symbolic Code Volume 2, Number 12, page 6, Symbolic Code Volume 3, Numbers 8, 9, and 10, page 10. With that said, here is our understanding. The day called Wednesday was the 14th. After sundown of Wednesday, i.e. Wednesday night, it became the 15th, and is the time when Christ ate the Passover with his disciples at the same time as the rest of the Jews. He was captured about midnight, the 6th hour of the night, ancient reckoning, of that same Wednesday night, and was taken to Annas for a preliminary trial, John 18:13, before sunrise of Thursday, the 15th. From there he was taken before Caiaphas, the scribes, and the elders, still before sunrise of Thursday, John 18:24, Matthew 26:57, Mark 14:53, Luke 22:54, for another preliminary examination. After sunrise on Thursday, the 15th, he was brought before all the chief priests, the scribes, the elders of the people, and the whole council. Matthew 27:1, Mark 15:1, first part, and Luke 22:66. Here is where the misunderstanding comes in. The Jewish leaders, in plotting to do away with Jesus, had previously stated, quote, "not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people," end quote. Matthew 26:5, Mark 14:2. The, quote, "feast day," end quote, was the 15th, being the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, a holy convocation. It began at sundown on Wednesday and would end at sundown on Thursday. All that transpired both before sunrise of the 15th, before Annas, Caiaphas, the scribes, and the elders, not yet before all the priests, scribes, elders of the people, the whole council, and all that transpired after sunrise of the 15th, before all the chief priests, scribes, elders of the people, the whole council, was not public, and therefore there was little danger of causing, quote, "an uproar among the people," end quote. But were the matter to go public then, quote, "on the feast day," end quote, when Jerusalem would be crowded with a much greater number of people than it would be on the other days during the week of the feast, the locals being about their daily work in the fields and elsewhere, and the visitors being out in the countryside seeing the sights, there would be a great uproar, for many were there expecting to see Jesus for healing and teaching, as they had done on the other previous feasts during the time of his ministry. Though in the morning of the 15th, after his full trial before the Sanhedrin, Christ was taken to the next place of trial, that before Pilate, the time involved in the events which transpired between then and the time he was crucified is greater than many believe them to be. This greater time period is shown in the Scriptures, but is not clearly seen without a close comparison of all the Gospels. Matthew, Mark, and John all leave out the fact that after Jesus had been before Pilate for a while, enduring many accusations from the Jews, he was then sent to Herod, Luke 23, verses 7 through 11, who also examined him at length, heard many accusations against him from the Jews, and gave him to his soldiers to be mocked before sending him back to Pilate. The next timeline reference we are given after he is returned to Pilate is that in John 19:14, where we read, quote, "And it was the preparation of the Passover, and about the 6th hour, and he saith unto the Jews, Behold your king," end quote. John 19:14. Note, more on this phrase, quote, "the preparation of the Passover," end quote, later. This 6th hour is most significant. According to the ancient reckoning, the 6th hour referred to either noon or midnight. We know from the record that Jesus was on the cross at a 6th hour, when there, quote, "was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour," end quote. Matthew 27:45, Mark 15:33, Luke 23:44. It is also evident that this 6th hour, when he was on the cross, must be noon, being understood by the temporary darkness until the 9th hour. So the 6th hour, during which he was first before Pilate, had to be the preceding midnight, for 6th hour previous to that was noon of the feast day, the 15th, the day which the Jewish leaders had determined to be too dangerous to do away with Jesus because of the reaction of the people. Moreover, as Jesus had been before the, quote, "whole council," end quote, after the break of day on the 15th, Thursday, this 6th hour would also have to be after that morning. The next 6th hour after that morning, then, would be noon of the 15th, Thursday. The common traditional reckoning has Christ on the cross at the 6th hour, noon, following those trials before the Jewish leaders and the ones before Pilate, Herod, and again Pilate, as again recently portrayed in the movie The Passion of the Christ. But John 19:14 has Christ before Pilate at a 6th hour, before he was crucified at the 3rd hour, Mark 15:25, about 9 a.m., and on the cross at the 6th hour, noon. These facts combine to clearly show that Christ's capture, trials before Jewish leaders, and crucifixion could not have all taken place on the same day within a 12-hour or so period, as is commonly understood and portrayed. As further proof of this, consider that if that 6th hour before Pilate was the one immediately following the trials before the Jewish leaders, that being noon of the 15th, how could Christ have been on the cross at the same time on the same day?